Quick update on the coronavirus. I will give you the official numbers off the top of my head. They're not going to be exact because I don't have a photographic memory. But there are an accumulated 69,270 accumulated confirmed cases. There has been 8,000 plus suspected cases. There is about 9,900 recovered, and there has been about 1,670 deaths. That's a 2.4% death rate as of now. That number is likely to drop according to the official estimates. However, it's very possible that it could end up being a lot more. I have seen other unofficial numbers as high as 200,000 cases. Currently, there are 750 million people in quarantine right now. 750 million. That's over twice the size of the entire United States capita. Okay? That in itself is very terrifying. It is putting all economy in China to an absolute halt. Right now, food is being delivered to the homes. It's a very scary thought. I've seen the WHO, the World Health Organization, give recommendations that all other countries should adopt the same measures as China. And let's say the United States or Britain does that. That would be drastic measures in this country. We are not communists. We're supposedly free. However, if they decide to implement these measures, it would be very detrimental to our society and our economies. I work in the oil and gas field. This coronavirus has dropped the barrel on average about $10 a barrel in the last 3 weeks alone. That has totally messed up our work. The projections are even worse. Oil prices were rising. It was looking strong for this year, even though we had gone through a slump in the beginning of the year and late last year. That's very scary to me, as things have been pretty tough since the last crash. They've only consolidated everything in the fields, and they're not releasing any more funding. This is going to be the year of bankruptcy for oil and gas companies. Now, Wall Street's doing great with this. They have been making buttloads of money off of the downturn of the economy in oil and gas. So I'll make a separate video about that. I'd like to go into detail about that. But can you imagine not being able to leave your house for 2, 3 weeks, months at a time? Because it has been about a month since they've cracked down on this, like in Wuhan, the Hubei province of China. And I've heard anywhere from 11 to 22 million people in Wuhan. 5 million people. There was a mass exodus of 5 million people right before that weekend where they cracked down. It was a Sunday. It was the last day that everyone was allowed to leave. Now, some people did make their way in there to report. Some of those people have been disappeared. They disappeared a very now famous lawyer. They've also disappeared doctors. One of the famous doctor, now famous doctor, that was saying early on that he suspected that this was going to be another SARS outbreak, was quarantined forcibly and ended up dying. Of course, they said, "Oh no, he didn't die." When there was an outcry, he's on life support, and then they admitted he died. It's a very scary thought that anyone who decides to disagree with the official story in the government, who decides to expose what is actually going on and just be a voice on the ground showing what is actually going on, can be disappeared. And what if they decide to do that in this country? It has already been a law passed in the United States where if the official journalists cannot put out official stories if they're not allowed to, and can be jailed in this country, in the United States of America. There is a bill that I don't know if it's been introduced yet. I know they've been wanting to introduce it for about 2 years. It is called the Bioterrorism Act. It is also known as the Patriot Act. I don't know which one it goes officially by, actually. But I've heard about this for a long time. And this would allow them to forcibly vaccinate you for anything and everything that they decide is necessary and is a matter of national security and public health. In China right now, if you decide to not quarantine yourself, it can be punishable by